But anyways, Morgoth is basically won. He thinks he's won, but for those who don't know, the War of Wrath, the climax of the First Age, I mean, it really comes about from Morgoth unbelievably being successful at divide and conquer. He divides most of the elven realms. He destroys some of their famous, supposedly hidden cities. You know, like there's Gondolin, Doriath against actually destroyed by the dwarfs more or less, and Feanor's curse and stuff. But Morgoth's strategy of attacking, surrounding, and circling, doing these sieges is very successful. He has basically the elves and the men that are now residing beside them in pockets against the ropes, and there's all hope is lost because in one of the late battles, he manages to trick men by basically secretly allying himself with there. This is going to confuse people, but they're in the First Age. There's people we refer to as Easterlings. They're very rustic people that come in very late in the First Age, after the Three Houses of Men, and they betray everybody in this kind of very climactic battle. Ends up seeing one of the kings of the dwarves, get killed.
I think that's where they kind of betrayed and were bribed off, for lack of a better term. And I think that did cost like the dwarves their king as well.
And the dwarves basically go into isolation over this. So he has gotten the dwarves out of the picture. He has basically destroyed most of these elven groups. Most of them that are surviving have been surrounded and they're being squeezed. And the humans in the First Age are much more vulnerable. They're not dominant yet, so they're kind of clinging to life beside the elves, and they don't know what to do with themselves, and they're being enslaved now by the Easterlings, or we can call them the Swarthy Men if you want. That's another name for them. And side note here, not all of these Swarthy Men end up being evil. Some of them do retain faith with their brethren, so the Three Houses of Men, or the Edain, if you want to call them that. And that's a very confusing story, but their bloodlines actually might linger on with those men. They might become something called the Middlemen in the Second Ages. It's a very confusing story. But anyways, Morgoth is basically he thinks he's won.